My cute neighbor took me to her family BBQ, then called me her boyfriend in front of everyone. I thought it would be a normal Saturday. Sleep in, make coffee, finish a few hours of work, maybe watch a baseball game later. Instead, I accidentally became my cute neighbor's fake boyfriend, and somehow, it turned into the best day of my life. My name is Ryan. I'm 31. I work as a freelance graphic designer from my apartment. My life wasn't exciting. Every day looked almost the same, except for one person, my next door neighbor, Sophie. She had moved into the building 8 months earlier. She always smiled, always greeted everyone, and somehow, she made every hallway feel brighter. We became friends almost immediately. Sometimes she'd bring me homemade brownies. Sometimes I'd help her carry groceries upstairs. Every evening, we'd end up talking outside our apartments for 10 or 15 minutes. Nothing romantic had ever happened, at least, not officially. The truth was, I liked Sophie from the first week we met, but I never had the courage to tell her. I didn't want to ruin our friendship, so I stayed quiet. Then one Saturday morning, someone knocked on my door. I opened it. There she was, wearing a light blue summer dress. Her hair was tied back in a ponytail. She looked beautiful, but also a little nervous. "Morning," she said. "Morning?" She held up a bowl covered with aluminum foil. "I made potato salad?" I laughed. "Should I congratulate you?" She smiled. "No, I need a favor." I stepped aside. "Come in." She walked inside and looked around my messy apartment. She pointed at the pizza box on my table. "You seriously had pizza for breakfast?" It was left over. She folded her arms. "You need help." I laughed. "And you're volunteering." "Maybe." She walked into my kitchen, opened my refrigerator, then sighed dramatically. "You have ketchup, 3 bottles of water, and absolutely nothing else." I was planning to go shopping. "Sure you were." She closed the fridge. "You'd probably starve without me." I prefer the word independent. She laughed so hard, she almost dropped the potato salad. I couldn't stop smiling. Moments like this happened all the time. Talking to Sophie always felt easy. Finally, she became serious. "My family is having a barbecue today. Sounds fun." It usually is. She looked down at the floor. "My relatives keep asking why I'm still single." I nodded. "I can imagine." She took a deep breath. "So, I may have told them. I've been dating someone." I blinked. "Oh, they're all excited to meet him." I crossed my arms. "Poor guy." She looked directly into my eyes. "It's you." I nearly dropped my coffee mug. "What?" I told them, "You're my boyfriend." I stared at her for 5 whole seconds. Then I laughed. She didn't. "Oh, you're serious." She slowly nodded. I panicked. They wouldn't stop asking questions. So I described, "You?" I rubbed my forehead. "So your entire family thinks we've been dating." She gave me the cutest guilty smile I'd ever seen. "Just a little." "A little?" "For 3 months. I burst out laughing. "You created an imaginary relationship and made me the main character." She covered her face. "When you say it like that, it sounds terrible." "It is terrible." "I know." She looked so embarrassed. I couldn't help teasing her. "So, what exactly do they know about me?" She counted on her fingers. "They know you love dogs." "True." "They know you're funny." "I try." "They know you make amazing pancakes." I frowned. "I've never made pancakes." I had to improvise. I laughed again. "And what if they asked me about our first date?" "I already invented one." "You what?" "It was at an Italian restaurant." "I don't even like Italian food." "I know." I forgot. We both started laughing so hard. Neither of us could breathe. After a minute, she became quiet again. "I know this is a crazy favor. You can say no. I'll understand." She looked genuinely nervous. I had never seen her like that before. Then, without thinking, I smiled. "What time do we leave?" Her eyes widened. "Really? Really?" She jumped with excitement. Then, before she realized what she was doing, she hugged me. It lasted only 2 seconds, but my heart was racing for the next 2 minutes. She quickly stepped back. "I'm sorry." I got excited. I smiled. "I noticed." She laughed. "I owe you." "You definitely do. I'll cook dinner for a week." 2 weeks. "Deal." As she walked toward the door, she suddenly turned around. "Oh, one more thing." "What?" She smiled innocently. "My dad loves dad jokes. My grandma hugs everyone. My little nephew asks very embarrassing questions. And my mom cries during happy moments." I froze. "Wait, how many people are going?" She answered casually. "About 30. 30? She nodded. "Don't worry, they're all nice." As she left, I looked at the closed door, then whispered to myself, what have I just agreed to? Little did I know, the craziest day of my life hadn't even started yet. Meeting the family. An hour later, I stood outside my apartment wearing the nicest shirt I owned. Sophie looked me up and down. She smiled. "You actually clean up pretty well." I grinned. "Don't sound so surprised." She laughed. "I was expecting another pizza-stained t-shirt. I have standards." "Oh really?" She pointed at my shoes. "You forgot to take the price sticker off." I looked down. There it was. A bright white sticker stuck to the bottom. She laughed so hard, she had to hold onto the wall. "Please don't tell anyone." "Oh, I'm definitely telling everyone." I peeled it off while shaking my head. This fake relationship is already ruining my reputation. Too late. 25 minutes later, we pulled into her parents' beautiful farmhouse. The backyard looked like something out of a movie. Colorful lights hung between the trees. Music played softly. Kids were running around with water balloons. The grill was covered with burgers, ribs, and corn. The smell alone made me hungry. Before getting out of the car, Sophie took a deep breath. Nervous? I asked. A little. I've lied to them for months. I smiled. Don't worry, I'll survive. She looked at me. Ready? As ready as a fake boyfriend can be. She laughed, then gently slipped her hand into mine. My heart skipped a beat. The moment we walked through the gate, someone shouted, Sophie's here. Every conversation stopped. Almost 30 people turned to look at us. I whispered. I suddenly forgot how to breathe. She squeezed my hand. You'll be fine. Then she smiled at everyone. Everyone. This is Ryan, my boyfriend. The backyard exploded with cheers. Her mom rushed over first. Oh my goodness. So you're finally real. Before I could answer, she wrapped me in the biggest hug of my life. You are officially part of this family today. I laughed nervously. Thank you. I think. Then her dad walked over. Tall. Bearded. Serious look. He shook my hand firmly. So, you're the famous Ryan? I swallowed. Hopefully for good reasons. He stared at me for 2 long seconds, then suddenly smiled. I'm kidding. He pulled me into a hug. Welcome to the family barbecue. I quietly whispered to Sophie. I thought he was going to interrogate me. She giggled. He does that to everyone. Just then, a little boy ran over. He couldn't have been older than 6. He looked at me very seriously. Are you really my future uncle? I nearly choked on my lemonade. The whole family burst into laughter. Sophie covered her face. Ethan? What? He shrugged. Grandma said if Ryan is nice, he might become my uncle. Even Grandma laughed. I bent down beside him. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. He nodded thoughtfully. Okay, but I already like you. A few minutes later, everyone gathered around the grill. Sophie's dad handed me a barbecue apron. It had huge letters across the front. Kiss the cook. The whole family started laughing. I looked at Sophie. You planned this, didn't you? She tried not to laugh. I might have, as I flipped burgers. She walked over beside me. You missed a spot. What spot? Without warning, she dabbed a little barbecue sauce on my cheek. There. Now, everyone laughed even harder. Oh, no. She smiled. I made it worse. She grabbed a napkin, stepped closer, and gently wiped the sauce off my face. For a second, everything around us disappeared. We were standing inches apart, looking into each other's eyes. Then, her cousin loudly yelled, Get a room. The entire backyard erupted with laughter. Both of us turned bright red. Later, the kids started a water balloon fight. I tried to stay out of it. Bad idea. A balloon landed right on my shoulder. Splash. Its cold water soaked my shirt. I turned around. Sophie stood there, trying very hard not to laugh. You did that? She nodded proudly. You looked too clean. Oh? So that's how we're playing. I picked up a balloon. Her eyes widened. Rian, don't you dare. Too late. Splash. The balloon burst right over her head. She screamed, then laughed louder than anyone. Within seconds, the entire family joined in. For the next 15 minutes, nobody cared about fake relationships or awkward introductions. We were just running around, laughing like little kids. As Sophie stood beside me, her hair dripping with water, she smiled and quietly said, I'm really glad you came. I smiled back. So am I. For the first time that day, it didn't feel like I was pretending anymore. The moment everything changed, after the water balloon fight, everyone changed into dry clothes. Luckily, Sophie's mom handed me one of her dad's old t-shirts. It was 2 sizes too big. The moment I walked outside, Sophie's cousins burst into laughter. One of them pointed at me. Rian, you look like you borrowed clothes from a giant. I looked down at the oversized sleeves. I call it fashion. Sophie's grandmother smiled. No, they are, we call it, adorable. Everyone laughed. Even Sophie couldn't stop giggling. You actually look kinda cute. I raised an eyebrow. Kind of. She smiled. Don't get used to the compliment. A little later, Sophie's uncle announced the annual family games. Couples first. Before I could say anything, Sophie grabbed my wrist. Come on. What are we playing? 3-legged race. I looked at our legs. Oh! This is going to end badly. Her cousin tied one of my legs to Sophie's. The whistle blew. Everyone started running. We made it exactly 3 steps. Then both of us fell into the grass. The whole backyard exploded with laughter. Sophie laughed so hard, she couldn't even stand up. I looked at her. This is your fault. My fault. You're the one with tiny steps. My legs are perfectly normal. You walk like a penguin. She gently pushed my shoulder. You walk like a baby giraffe. Even I couldn't stop laughing. We finally reached the finish line. Dead last. Sophie's little nephew clapped anyway. You two lost together. That's romantic. Later, everyone gathered under a huge oak tree for homemade desserts. Sophie's grandmother handed me a slice of apple pie. I made this. I took one bite. My eyes widened. This is incredible. She smiled proudly. I knew you'd fit into this family. Sophie looked at me. Careful. If Grandma likes you, she'll never let you leave. Grandma laughed. She's absolutely right. As the afternoon slowly turned into evening, the backyard became quieter. The younger kids were tired. The adults sat around talking. Sophie gently touched my arm. Come with me. We walked away from the crowd, toward a small wooden swing near the flower garden. It overlooked a peaceful little lake behind the house. The sunset painted the sky orange and pink. For a few moments, neither of us spoke. The silence felt comfortable. Finally, she smiled. You've survived my family. Barely. She laughed. I thought Ethan was going to ask me for an adoption form. He likes you. I like him too. She smiled warmly. I knew you would. She looked out across the lake. Can I tell you something? Always. She took a deep breath. I didn't choose you because you were convenient. I looked at her. I chose you because every time something good happened, you were the first person I wanted to tell. When I got promoted, I knocked on your door. When I had a bad day, I wanted to talk to you. When I baked cookies, I always made extra, hoping you'd be home. I smiled softly. I noticed she looked surprised. You did? I also noticed you always found excuses to borrow sugar, even though I saw 3 bags in your kitchen. She covered her face. You saw those? Every single time. She started laughing. I can't believe you knew. I've known for months. She became quiet again. So, why didn't you ever ask me out? I smiled. Because I thought you were way out of my league. She stared at me in disbelief. Rian, I've had a crush on you since the day you helped me carry my couch upstairs. I blinked. Seriously? She nodded. You even bought me coffee the next morning. I couldn't stop smiling all day. I laughed. I only bought the coffee because I accidentally spilled mine on your shoes. She laughed so hard, she almost fell off the swing. I forgot about that. You smelled like vanilla coffee for 2 days. At that moment, a gentle breeze blew across the lake. Without thinking, our hands found each other. This time, neither of us let go. Across the yard, her family watched quietly. Sophie's mom smiled. Her dad whispered something to Grandma. Grandma simply nodded, like she'd known this would happen all along. For the first time, it didn't feel like we were pretending. It felt like we were exactly where we were supposed to be. The best surprise wasn't the fake relationship. The sun was beginning to set. Golden light covered the backyard. The barbecue was almost over. Most of the kids were roasting marshmallows around the fire pit. The adults sat together, laughing about old family memories. Sophie and I slowly walked back from the garden, still holding hands. This time, nobody teased us. Instead, everyone smiled. It felt natural. Sophie's mom suddenly stood up. Family picture. Everyone gathered in front of the old oak tree. The photographer looked around. Couples in the front. Before I could move, Sophie slipped her arm around mine. The photographer smiled. Closer? We stepped a little closer. A little more. Our shoulders touched. Perfect. Click. Then another. And another. Her little nephew shouted, Ryan, when you marry Sophie, can I be the ring bearer? The entire family burst into laughter. I looked at Sophie. She was blushing so hard. She couldn't even answer. I smiled at Ethan. I think that's a pretty important job. He threw both hands in the air. Yes. A few minutes later, Sophie's dad walked over carrying 2 glasses of lemonade. He handed one to me. You know, when Sophie first started talking about you, I wasn't sure if you even existed. I laughed. Honestly, neither was I. He smiled. I've never seen my daughter smile this much. He looked toward Sophie. Thank you. Those 2 words meant more than he probably realized. As people started saying goodbye, cars slowly pulled out of the driveway. The backyard became quiet. Only fairy lights and crickets remained. Sophie looked at me. Would you help me carry a few things inside? Of course. We carried chairs, empty bowls, and decorations into the garage. Finally, there was nothing left to do. She closed the garage door. For the first time all day, we were completely alone. She leaned against the table and smiled. So, our fake relationship survived. I laughed. I think your grandma is already planning our wedding. She covered her face. She's probably picked baby names by now. We both laughed. Then, the laughter faded. She looked into my eyes. I have to tell you something. You can tell me anything. She took a slow breath. I never planned for today to happen like this. I invited you because I thought pretending would make my family stop asking questions. She smiled softly. But somewhere along the way, I forgot we were pretending. My heart started beating faster. She continued. I wasn't acting when I held your hand. I wasn't acting when I smiled at you. And I definitely wasn't acting when I wished today would never end. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then I stepped closer. You know what my biggest problem is? She shook her head. I've liked my neighbor for 8 months. I just never had the courage to tell her. A single tear rolled down her cheek. She laughed while wiping it away. My mom is rubbing off on me. I smiled. Looks like it. She looked up at me. So, what happens now? I reached for her hand one last time. No more pretending. No more fake stories. No more imaginary dates. I want the real ones. Her smile grew wider than I'd ever seen. So, is this our first official date? I nodded. It starts right now. She wrapped her arms around me. This hug lasted much longer than the first one. When we pulled apart, she kissed me gently, not because anyone expected it, not because her family was watching, but because it was real. 6 months later, another family barbecue. Same backyard, same fairy lights, same laughter. Only one thing was different. This time, Sophie's dad tapped his glass with a spoon. I have an announcement. Everyone became quiet. I looked at Sophie. She smiled. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a small velvet box, and got down on one knee. The backyard fell completely silent. Sophie, the best decision I ever made was saying yes to one crazy invitation. So today, I have one more question. This time, it's real. Will you marry me? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she laughed through happy tears, jumped into my arms, and shouted, "Yes." The backyard exploded with cheers. Her little nephew ran over yelling, "I knew I teed." Grandma wiped away tears. Her mom cried exactly like Sophie had warned me. Her dad hugged me so tightly, I could barely breathe, as everyone celebrated around us. Sophie whispered into my ear, "I'm really glad I lied about having a boyfriend." I laughed. "I'm really glad you did too." Sometimes, the best love stories don't begin with a perfect plan. Sometimes, they begin with one unexpected invitation and a little white lie that leads to forever.